Why didn't we see the dangers? When we started drinking, most of us would have been teenagers. When you're young, you never think about the future, really. You live for the day, don't you? Now, drugs in my day were very few and far between, but there was always a lot of publicity about how dangerous drugs were. And never get involved with drugs because it's all for rock stars and the rich and famous, and they all die young, all this. But there was never any mention of alcohol. Now, alcohol is a drug, as we know. It's probably the most widely available drug, and probably one of the most difficult, or the most difficult to get off, for a number of reasons. One of those being it's socially acceptable and people drift into it, and most people drink. But personally, I never saw the dangers. Now, whether it was just being naive, or I wasn't old enough to see the dangers, or hadn't been with anybody in my family who'd suffered any alcohol issues, I don't know. But as I got older, I realised it was dangerous because it started to affect my health. In the job I did, I met people who were very heavy drinkers, and they knew people who had died. But it didn't seem to worry me too much. Now, if somebody said to me, if you take this pill or you eat this every day for the next month, you're going to be seriously ill. If you have it for the next year, the chances are you're probably going to die if you have it over your lifetime. I'd be very wary of it. So as I got a little bit older, I saw the dangers, a little bit of alcohol, but I still didn't do anything about them. Why don't people do anything about them? This is what I can't get my head around. And I didn't for years. I tried to stop, and I did stop for periods. Longest was 8 years, but I relapsed again because I thought I could control it. But you wouldn't try and control something which was going to kill you, would you? Now, I know quite a few people who have passed away, and I know people who are now pretty much housebound, and I know people who have continued to drink, even though they've had pancreatitis, even though they've got serious liver problems, even though they've had heart attacks, even though they've had strokes, even though they can't walk properly, they will still drink. And they're quite aware of the dangers, but they'll still do it. Now, a lot of these people aren't what I would class as alcohol dependent or alcoholics. They choose to do it because it's their main purpose in life. Their hobby, they get lonely, they get bored, all this sort of thing. There are all ways to get out of that and change your life. Now, I'm not saying you've got to have a lot of money or anything. You've got to change your habits, change your ways, change your mindset. That's what you've got to do. But if you walk into any pub in any town or city in the UK, around about 11:30, you'll see mainly men between the ages of 45 and 85 having a pint, pretending to read the newspaper. And they'll normally sit alone until they've had a few drinks and start to converse. Now, basically this is where you get this term, lonely old men and boozers. Now, they know it's killing them. Why don't they change? Thankfully, I never got to that stage. I was never lonely. However, I know guys, I'm going to refer to men here, because I don't have that many heavy women drinkers, men who just go to the pub out of habit, really, and they get into such a rut they can't get out of it. But they know the dangers. And like I said, if somebody said, if you cross the road 10 times, the chances are you get knocked down on the 9th, 10th time, you're not going to do it, are you? But the chances are if you drink heavily or continue to drink, you are going to get ill. There's a good chance you'll shorten your life by 20 years. Why don't people act upon this? Is it because it's socially acceptable? Is it because it's available? I'd like to get your thoughts on this because I can't work it out, personally. I've spoken to doctors about this because I was in our hospital for a couple of years, between 2019 and 2021, when I was seriously ill. And all I got from them was, it's personal choice, and from one very senior consultant who was a transplant surgeon, actually, liver transplant surgeon, he said, it's the power of addiction, Stephen, the power of addiction. And I thought, well, yeah, but he didn't explain it, really. He couldn't explain it. So if somebody offers you something really, really dangerous to do when you're 50 years old, when you're 40 years old, you're going to think twice, aren't you? But these guys I know and myself included in this a few years ago, I knew it was going to kill me, and I still took a drink. I don't know whether it was because I thought I'm going to feel better, although I was going to enhance my life. But when I got to the age of about 40, I was drinking to try and feel good. I got no buzz from it, you know. It was just a way of calming my nerves a bit. But the anxiety was worse the next day. And then I would go to the doctors and try and get some diazepam, and that would work really well. That was the best thing I'd ever had. I did that 4 or 5 times and then came off it with diazepam. Basically sends you to sleep for a week. And you wake up and you're not completely asleep, but you relax. Takes you out. Basically, I was told diazepam as a form of Valium, which the doctor said to me years ago, was a bit like the effects of alcohol in tablet form, if that makes sense. So, and in the end, I couldn't get any. I've only been on it 4 times because you might get addicted. There was lots of changes in policy. But I still knew it was going to kill me in the end, or would kill me in the end, until the last time in 2019 when I had to stop. You know, that was doctor's orders. If you drink, you'll die. Until I was told that, I just kept stopping and starting, relapse and all this sort of thing. So I'm trying to get the bottom of why we don't act on the dangers. How many times have you been to the doctor and the first thing they ask, how much do you drink? Do you smoke? I've never smoked. How much do you drink? Nobody that I know has ever told the truth on that. They will all say, well, have 2 or 3 pints during the week, maybe a bit more weekends. The only time I told the truth was when I went to hospital with my daughter in 2019 on the second admission after the first emergency one. And she said, tell them how much you used to drink, because they can't diagnose you unless they know. And the doctors will not be shocked, because no matter what state you're in, they're professional people. They know what they're talking about. They'll not be shocked. So when she asked me, I told her that I was drinking 20 pints a day. She wasn't shocked at all. She says, okay. What were you drinking? What sort of strength was it? How often were you drinking? What time were you drinking? They're not interested in what you did, whether you've done something wrong or not. All they want to know is what you've been drinking, so they can diagnose you properly, to treat you properly and help you. So when you go and see the doctor, because you should if you're dependent, you can't just stop if you're dependent, because you'll have seizures like I did. You tell the doctor, look, I wake up at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, have a glass of cider, have a bottle of beer, have a drink of vodka, whatever you drink, glass of wine, whatever. Tell them exactly what you're doing with your life. Tell them that you don't eat. Tell them that you've been sick in the morning. Tell them that you're coughing up bile. Tell them that you've lost a stone in weight. Tell them all these things. They'll then be able to direct you to the right place, because I don't think I told the truth for years and years. It was nowhere near the truth. Even when I was in my 30s, I went a couple of times with my ex-wife and said, you must get off the drink. How much are you drinking? Oh, about 3 or 4 pints a day. It was nowhere near that. It was double or treble that. And on my days off, I could do, like I said, 20 pints in a day. You know, between 10 a.m. and 2 a.m. the next day. Probably more. So be honest with people. Be honest with yourself first. Admit you've got a problem if you have. And tell the doctor exactly what you're doing. If you're benefiting from the channel, please subscribe. And I'd like to hear your comments on this. Why don't we act on the dangers? Even when we know it's killing ourselves, we don't do anything about it until the last knockings. And somebody said, if you're going to drink again, you're going to die. That's when you stop. Even then, people still decide to go back for a drink. And I was talking to another doctor was in there, and he said, you know, even people with transplants have gone back and had a drink. And they think the new liver's going to be great and everything's going to be fine. But it's not, because the other organs are damaged as well. So be aware of that. Speak to the doctor or speak to people like myself. There's lots of people on YouTube. They've all got a lot of practical experience. And if you look at the comments that I've got, and other people have got as well, there's a lot of interesting folk in there. I've had all sorts of dealings with drink and good and bad experiences. And do a bit of research into it. And as I said before, be honest to yourself and your loved ones. I'll speak to you all soon.